नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवतीर्वुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 10, entitled Divisions of the Creation, text number 3. Suta Uvacha Evam Sanchoditastena Kshatra Kaushara Virmunihi Prita Pratyahatan Prashnan Hridisthanata Bhargava Evam Sanchoditastena Shatra Kaushara Virmunihi Prita Pratyahatan Prashnan Hridisthanata Bhargava Evam Sanchoditastena Shatra Kaushara Virmunihi Prita Pratyahatan Prashnan Hridisthanata Bhargava. Evam Sanchoditastena Shatra Kaushara Virmunihi Prita Pratyahatan Prashnan Hridisthanatha Bhargava. Suta Uvacha Evam Sanchoditastena Kshatra Kaushara Virmunihi Prita Pratyahatan Prashnan Hridisthanata Bhargava. Suta Uvacha Evam Sanchoditastena Kshatra Kaushara Virmunihi Prita Pratyahatan Prashnan Matajis. Suta Uvacha Prita Pratyahatan Prashnan Hridisthanata Bhargava. Word to word translation. Suta Uvacha, Sri Suta Goswami said, Evam thus Sanchoditaha, being enlivened, Tena, by him, Kshatra, by Vidura, Kausharavihi, the son of Kushara, Munihi, great sage, Pritaha, being pleased, Pratyaha replied, Tan, those, Prashnan, questions, Hridisthan, from the core of his heart, Atha, thus, Bhargava, O son of Bhrigu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Suta Goswami said, O son of Bhrigu, the great sage Maitreya Muni, thus hearing from Vidura, felt very much enlivened. Everything was in his heart. And thus he began to reply to the questions one after another. Purport. The phrase Suta Uvacha appears to indicate a break in the discourse between Maharaj Parikshit and Shukdev Goswami. While Shukdev Goswami was speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, Suta Goswami was only one member of a large audience. But Suta Goswami was speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by the sage Shaunaka, a descendant of Shukdev Goswami. This, however, does not make any substantial difference in the topics under discussion. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Dhyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Sva Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine. So we are reading the third canto, 10th chapter. The beginning of this chapter, Vidura has raised a question to Maitreya Rishi. Vidura wants to know about the different types of creation performed by Lord Brahma. What all types of bodies Brahma created. the different divisions of creation performed by Brahma were inquired by Vidura to Maitreya Rishi. And on hearing the questions of Vidur, Maitreya Rishi remembered all those questions. Prita Pratyaha Tan Prashnan Hridistan. Hridistan means Maitreya Rishi did not forget any of those questions. He kept all those questions within his heart. And then Pritaha, Maitreya Rishi became very pleased on hearing the questions of Vidura. Pratyaha, he began to reply to those questions. Evam Sanchoditaha, Sanchoditaha means in this way being inspired by the questions of Vidura. Sanchoditastena Kshatra Kausharavir Munihi. Kshatra means by Vidura. By the questions asked by Vidura, Maitreya Rishi became enlivened, inspired. Sanchoditaha. Kausharavir Munihi. Kausharavi refers to Maitreya Rishi. Kausharavi means the son of Kushara. The son of Kushara, Maitreya Rishi. That Maitreya Rishi began to reply to the questions of Vidura, keeping all those questions within his mind, not forgetting those questions. And this verse is spoken by Suta Goswami, therefore this verse begins with Suta Uvacha. And Suta Goswami is addressing the sages assembled at Naimisharanya. And the leader of the sages present in Naimisharanya is Shaunaka Rishi. And that Shaunaka Rishi comes in the dynasty of Bhrigu Muni. Therefore, he is addressing Shaunaka Rishi as Bhargava. So, that is a summary of the shloka. Suta Goswami said, O son of Bhrigu, the great sage Maitreya, thus hearing from Vidura, felt very much enlivened, inspired. Everything was in his heart, Hridisthan. And therefore he began to reply, Pratyaha, Tan Prashnan, to the questions asked by Vidura, one after another. So, we'll discuss something in relation to the personalities present in this dialogue and also about the principle of hearing and chanting. So Suta Goswami is speaking the shloka. The Suta in the Vedic culture, the word Suta, it actually indicates a person's birth. From the Vedic culture point of view, that Suta refers to a little low birth. According to Dharma Shastras, a son born from a Brahmana mother and a Kshatriya father is known as Suta. And such a marriage is technically called as Pratiloma marriage, which is not recommended in the Shastra. Pratiloma and Anuloma, there are two types of marriages. Pratiloma marriage is when a man of a lower varna marries a woman of a higher varna, that is called as a Pratiloma marriage. The Suta is a son born through such a Pratiloma marriage. So being a Suta is not an elevated birth from the Vedic Varnashram point of view. A Suta is considered on the level of a Shudra or sometimes even below that. So here Suta Goswami is the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He is the second speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he is speaking to the sages assembled at Naimisharanya. And the leader of those sages is Shaunaka Rishi. Before describing Shaunaka Rishi, there is one more detail about the word Suta, which is described in the Vayu Purana. One of the commentator, Vamshidhara, he quotes Vayu Purana and he says that in the yajna of the great soul Prithu Maharaj, Suta appeared in his mother Suti's womb as the first Pratiloma child. That is because the offerings for Brihaspati got accidentally mixed with the offerings of Indra. So, and these offerings got oblated in the name of Indra by the will of providence. So, from that sacrifice, a child named Suta appeared in the womb of Suti. So, Indra is a Kshatriya, Brihaspati is a Brahmana. Indra is the disciple of Brihaspati. Because the disciples' offerings got mixed with the Guru's offerings, and because of the opposite mixture, the first Pratiloma child named Suta was born. This is the reference from the Vayu Purana for the word Suta. And the leader of the assembly present at Naimisharanya is Shaunaka Rishi. And what is the position of Shaunaka Rishi? In the Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 17th chapter, about Shaunaka Rishi, it is described that Shunaka Shaunako Yasya Bhakvurucha Pravaro Munihi. There is a personality called as Gritsamada. Gritsamada's son is called as Shunaka. And Shunaka's son is Shaunaka. And this Shaunaka is described as Bhakvurucha Pravaro Munihi. Bhakvurucha refers to Rigveda. Shaunaka was a leader or expert in the mantras of Rigveda. Pravaro Munihi. So you can see the position of Shaunaka Rishi. Shaunaka Rishi is a very highly qualified Brahmana. He is an expert in the Rigveda mantras. And he is hearing from Suta Goswami. And Suta Goswami is born from a Pratiloma marriage. He is on the level of a Shudra. So this itself gives a very profound message right at the very beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Suta Goswami has become the teacher of the Srimad Bhagavatam to all the sages headed by Shaunaka Rishi, who is an expert Brahmana. So this shows that how the normal hierarchy is that a Brahmana is superior to a Suta. But when there is a bhakti present, bhakti reverses the hierarchy. Viprad Vishad Gunayutad Aravinda Naba Padaravinda Vimukad Shapacham Varishtam Manye Tadarpita Mano Vachane Hitartha Pranam Punati Sakulam Natu Bhuri Manaha. A Brahmana may have all the good qualities of what is expected of a Brahmana. But if he is averse to the lotus feet of Krishna, he cannot even purify himself, what to speak of his family. On the other hand, a person who is born in a family of a dog eater, who has dedicated his body, mind and words in the service of Krishna, such a person not only purifies himself, but he purifies his entire dynasty. So Bhakti reverses the hierarchy. So Shaunaka Rishi is hearing from Suta Goswami. And therefore, in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shaunaka Rishi is addressing Suta Goswami. Tvaya kalu puranani setihasani chanaga आख्यातान apyaditani dharmashastrani yanyuta. Right at the beginning, Shaunaka Rishi is addressing Suta Goswami by the word anaga. Anaga means sinless. So why is he addressing us anaga? He says that because Suta Goswami may be thinking, I am born in a low family. So therefore, how can I'm not qualified to speak to all of you. So Suta Goswami may be thinking like that. So therefore, Shaunaka Rishi is saying that although your birth may be from a low family, but you are sinless. You are sinless. Don't think that you are not qualified for instructing us, the Brahmanas. Although you may be born from a Pratiloma marriage, but you are sinless in nature, we want to hear from you. Therefore, Shaunaka Rishi is giving that assurance to Suta Goswami, you are sinless. We want to hear from you because you have learnt all the Shastras. You have studied all the Puranas, Itihasas. You are sinless because you are free from the fruitive activities. You are sinless because you are not lacking knowledge of the scriptures. You are sinless because you are free from the fruitive tendencies. Our Vallabhacharya says that Shaunaka Rishi is telling that you are sinless because you don't make a living out of your knowledge. So therefore, we want to hear from you. Don't think that you are not qualified to speak to us. So here, we can see the position of Suta Goswami and also Shaunaka Rishi. And the culture, how the spiritual culture is given greater prominence, spiritual qualification is given greater importance. And also we see in this verse, Maitreya Rishi is mentioned by the word Kausharavir Munihi, Kausharavihi, the son of Kushara. Shaunaka Rishi is described by the word Bhargava, the descendant of Bhrigumuni. So in the Vedic culture, there is a culture of addressing a person in relation to his forefathers, in relation to his dynasty. So this culture is very much prominent. For example, in the Bhagavad Gita itself, Krishna addressed Arjuna by various names. Krishna used 25 names to address Arjuna. Out of those 25 names, 14 names are in relation to his body, in relation to his family or dynasty. Kaunteya, Pandava, Bharata, Bharatarshabha, Kurushreshta, Purusha Vyagra, Kurunandana. So all these names are in relation to his family dynasty. Although Krishna, right in the beginning, he condemns the bodily concept of life, but he is reminding Arjuna in various places in the Bhagavad Gita his connection to the dynasty. Why does Krishna do that? Because by reminding a person of his glorious dynasty or the family, one is reminding him of the responsibility he has in his life, how he is expected to act very responsibly, how he is expected to follow the dharma very meticulously and live up to the expectations, live up to the standards set by his previous personalities born into the dynasty. That is why the person is addressed in relation to the family dynasty. So that is why we see even in the Sanskrit Vyakarana, the Panini Vyakarana, one of the largest section in the Panini Vyakarana is Apatyadikara. Apatyadikara means how to address a person in relation to his predecessors, in relation to his forefathers. So, for example, Raghu, and anybody who is born in the Raghu dynasty is called as Raghava. Bharata, somebody is born in the Bharata dynasty, Bharata. So what kind of suffixes, pratyas should be attached to the original word in order to form the word to address a person who is born in the dynasty? Dasharatha, Dasharati. Aditi, Aditya. Kunti, Kaunteya. Pandu, Pandava. So therefore this culture is very prominent in the Vedic culture. So therefore Shastras, they always remind of our connection with our roots, with our family dynasty, especially the family dynasty which are connected with Dharma. And ultimately the Shastras remind us with our connection with the supreme root. That is Lord Shri Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So in contrast to the Shastra, in contrast to the Vedic culture, the modern culture systematically, unconsciously tries to disconnect ourselves from our roots. So that is why people, when study in reputed colleges, they are more eager to leave India and go abroad. That means they are thoroughly brainwashed. They are thoroughly brainwashed. They want to leave their connection with India and they want to go abroad. And such people get shocked, such people get disturbed when there are like H1B visa, new fee hike. So we see that how we are subtly brainwashed to forget our connection with the roots. But on the other hand, Shastras remind us. Shastras tell us that how the Devatas are waiting in line to get visa to take birth in the Bharatvarsha. Yadyatrana swarga sukavasheshitam svishtasya suktasya kritasya shobanam tenajanabe smritimad janmanasyat varshe hariryat bhajatam sham tanoti. Devatas are praying that if only we have some pious credits are remaining in our life, we want to take birth in the Bharatvarsha. We want to take birth in the Bharatvarsha. And in that Bharatvarsha, the Lord appears in various incarnations Varshe hariryat bhajatam sham tanoti, and he spreads auspiciousness by his various incarnations. And the Devatas are saying that Kalpayusham sthana jayat punarbhavat Kshanayusham bharata bhujayo varam Kshanena martyena kritam manasvina Sanyasya sanyantyabayam padam harehe. Yeah, moments it is better to have a short life. Kalpayusham sthana jayat punarbhavat. Instead of having a long life of a kalpa in Satya Yuga, it is better to have a short life in the Bharatvarsha. Kshanayusham Bharata Bhujayo Varam. Because a short life in Bharatvarsha, Kshanena Martyena Kritam Manasvina Sanyasya Sanyantyabayam Padam Harehe. Because by a short life in Bharatvarsha, a person can perform, if a person performs a devotional service properly, he can attain directly Vaikunta. And therefore the Devatas say that Aho Amisham Kimakari Shobanam Prasanna Yesham Svidutva Swayam Harihi Yairjanma Labdas Nishubharatajire Mukunda Sevau Payikam Sprihahina. So they are saying that this human, since the human form of life is the sublime position for spiritual realization, all the demigods are speaking in this way. How wonderful is that these human beings have taken birth in the land of Bharatvarsha. They must have definitely performed great austerities in the past. Or otherwise, they must have been greatly pleased with Lord Hari. They must have got the special mercy of Lord Hari. Otherwise, it is not possible for them to take birth in the Bharatvarsha. And we demigods, we also aspire to take birth in the Bharatvarsha, to execute devotional service. But these human beings are already engaged in devotional service there. In this way, Devatas are aspiring to take birth in the Bharatvarsha. Therefore, the Shastras repeatedly remind us of our connection with the roots. And those who are brainwashed by the modern education, they become thoroughly upset by the H1B rules, H1B visa rules. So we see here in the Srimad Bhagavatam that regularly throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, the culture of hearing and chanting is actually repeatedly emphasized. Whether it is Parishit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami, or Vidura Maitreya, or Shaunaka Rishi and Suta Goswami, or Narada Yudhishthira, or Nimi Maharaj and Navayogendras. So various conversations are coming in the Bhagavatam. So in every dialogue we see the eagerness of the hearer and how the speaker gets enlivened by the eager audience. That this theme comes repeatedly in the Bhagavatam. One of the Tamil poet, Thiruvalluvar, he says in his Thirukural, Seviyin suvayunara vayunarvin makkal aviyinum valinum yen. The meaning is that somebody is not aware of the superior taste in hearing transcendental sound vibrations, Krishna Katha or Krishna Upadesha. And if he is only aware of the taste of the footsteps, if such a person, whether he lives or dies, how does it matter? It doesn't matter, there is no Huh? There is no use of such a person who knows only the difference in the taste in the different foodstuffs, but who doesn't know the taste in hearing transcendental sound vibrations. In another place, Thiruvalluvar says that, செவிக்கு உணவு இல்லாத பொழுது சிறிது வயிற்றுக்கும் ஈயப்படும். That means, when you don't have some food for hearing, that time you can eat some foodstuffs. That means, basically, you keep hearing, you keep learning throughout the day. And sometimes when you really get tired, you take a break and maybe eat some foodstuffs and come. So, in that way, hearing is very emphasized. Prabhupada says in one purport in first canto, second chapter, the difference between human being and an animal is that only human beings can hear the Shastras. Animals cannot hear the Shastras. This is the main difference between human being and an animal. And we see that, one of the main obstacle for hearing is hunger and thirst. Parishit Maharaj says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Naishapi dussakha kshunmam tyaktodam apibadate pibantam tvanmukambujam pibantam tvanmukamboja chutam harikatamritam. So Parishit Maharaj is giving assurance to Shukadeva Goswami, because of my vow on the verge of death, I have given up even drinking water. This hunger and thirst are very, very difficult urges to actually deal with. Dussaha. They are very difficult urges. But because I am hearing the Krishna Katha spoken from your mouth, from your lotus mouth, because I am tasting the nectar of Krishna Katha, I am not feeling the urge of hunger and thirst. Harishuri Maharaj, in his Bhakti Rasayana commentary, he composes a beautiful shloka. Ya kritsna vyasana pradana charita ya karya matra pravrit aramba pravibhanjika cha satatam sarvepi yatkinkaraha sapi ksatimetya lakshita gati struchapi sadyashruter yasyastam shrunuyanna kashuka mukas swadyam mumukshukkatam. Harishwari Maharaj says that he talks about the nature of hunger and thirst. The first point is that hunger and thirst, the nature of them is that they give unlimited suffering to the jivatmas. And secondly, because of hunger and thirst, the enthusiasm to perform any particular task gets obstructed. We lose the enthusiasm to perform any activity. And thirdly, all the living entities in the samsara, they are all servants of hunger and thirst. Sarvepi yat kinkaraha. And then he says, so he's giving the, he's telling the thoughts of Parishit Maharaj. This hunger and thirst is actually residing in our heart in a very concealed way. Alakshita gati. It is residing in our body in a concealed way. But this hunger and thirst gets immediately destroyed by hearing Krishna Katha. So which person who is desiring moksha will not want to hear the sweet Krishna Katha from the mouth of Shukadeva Goswami? So therefore, why should I myself not hear? Like that Parikshit Maharaj is saying. So we see that like in India, there are different security forces, state government force, CRPF, BSF, Army, Navy. There's one kind of security forces, SPG, Special Protection Group, I think. They offer security to the Prime Minister and their immediate family. And the previous Prime Minister also. So one person who served in the SPG, he was telling about how those who are recruited for SPG, they undergo a special training. And there are various modules in the training. One of the modules in the SPG training is that for 7 days, 24/7, they will be engaged in some activity or other. 7 days. And the training would be in such a way that they would not allow them to settle down in any one activity. Suppose they are eating lunch. They are about to put the gulab jamun in the mouth. At that time, they would get the order, for example. So now you have to run for 10 kilometers. So they have to immediately put the gulab jamun down and then start running. So essentially, they are trained to be alert in any circumstance because they are going to offer security to the Prime Minister. So we see such training in this world where somebody is trained to be alert for 24/7 for 7 days and 7 nights. But here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj, he voluntarily, because of his attraction to Lord Krishna, he voluntarily, without being told by somebody, he dedicated himself to hear Krishna Katha. So Parikshit Maharaj is a devotee of hearing. Krishna says in the 14th chapter of the Gita, he uses the word Shruti Parayanaha. Those who are dedicated to hearing, those who are surrendered to the process of hearing. So that is Parikshit Maharaj. Another obstacle in hearing Krishna Katha, one is the physical obstacle in the form of hunger and thirst. Another obstacle is that the different anarthas in our heart. So Prahlad Maharaj says in his prayers, Ittam nritiryak rishideva jashavatarir lokan vibhavayasi hamsi jagat pratipan dharmam maha purushapasi yuganu vrittam channakkalau yadabhavas triyugota sattvam. He says that you appear, he's telling to Narasimhadev, you appear in various incarnations, sometimes as a human being, sometimes as an animal, sometimes as a devata. And you protect dharma and you destroy the demoniac people. And because you appear in Kali Yuga in a concealed form, therefore you are called as Triyugaya. But although you appear in so many incarnations and perform so many wonderful activities, but I don't have attraction for hearing your activities. So Prahlad Maharaj is presenting himself as a common conditioned soul, and he says that Naitan manas tavakatasu vikuntanata sampriyate durita dushtam asadu tivram kamaturam harsha shoka bayaishanartam tasmin katam tavagatim vimrshami dinaha. He says that my mind is affected by sin, durita dushtam, asadu tivram, it is uncontrollable. It is wicked. Because of that, Naitan manas tava katasu sampriyate. My mind is not pleased to hear the topics of you. Kamaturam harsha shoka bayaishanartham. Moreover, my mind is affected by kama, krodha, and my mind is having so many desires for lobha or wealth. I am afraid, my mind is affected with lamentation. Tasmin katam tavagatim vimrushami dinaha. So in such a circumstance, how can I actually hear about, how can this wretch think of the truth about you in this mind? So Prahlad Maharaj is presenting as a common conditioned soul, and he is praying. Actually, we should be offering this prayer, but Prahlad Maharaj, out of his humility arising from his prema, he is offering this prayer. So therefore, that these are the obstacles to get absorbed in hearing: hunger, thirst, and the different anarthas in our heart. And in another prayer in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the four Kumaras, they offer a profound prayer. Kamam bhava svavrijinair nirayeshu nastat chetolivat yadinute padayo rameta vachaschana tulasivad yaditengri shobha puryetate gunaganair yadi karna randraha. The four Kumaras are saying that we will gladly accept birth in any of the hell because of our sins. We are glad to accept, take birth in any of the hells if only our minds can take pleasure like the bees in your lotus feet. If our words may beautify your feet like the tulasi, and if our ears be filled with the glorification of your virtues, we are glad to take birth in any hell. So Vishwanath Chakravarti writes a very interesting point. Prabhupada also highlights in the purport. So our Shravanendriya or Shrotrendriya, according to Nyaya Shastra, our Shrotrendriya is made of Akasha, sky. And the Shabda is a guna. And guna, by nature, it is formless. And Akasha, that is Shrotrendriya, Akasha by nature, it is Vibhu Padartha. It is all pervading. So that means, even technically speaking, Shrotrendriya is Vibhu Padartha, it is all pervading, it is unlimited. And the Shabda, which is the guna of the Shrotrendriya, we hear the Shabda through the Shrotrendriya, and that guna is, the Shabda is formless. That means, even theoretically, technically speaking, unlimited quantities of Shabda can be heard by the Shrotrendriya. In the case of the other elements of the body, we cannot eat unlimited quantities of food. But it is possible, even technically, that one can hear unlimited quantities of sound vibration with the Shrotrendriya. So that is the implication of Kumara's prayer. So Kumaras are saying that we want to keep on hearing about your qualities and activities, because we know that we will never get satiated. Because the Shrotrendriya has unlimited capacity. So therefore, generally, one of the tendency of a conditioned soul is that we want to be heard. We want others to hear. That's why we see that this psychology is exploited by the social media. People make different videos, and or even if somebody is not in social media, when we send a particular message in the WhatsApp, like we want to see whether some people have read our message. We want to know that whether some people have acknowledged our message. Some people have replied to our message. So we have a tendency. We want to be heard. So therefore people, when they make, say, videos or posts, they want to check, oh, how many hits for my video, how many hits for my post. But we see in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam that in this world a conditioned soul may aspire for maybe 1 lakh hits. He may aspire for maybe 1 crore hits. But in the Bhagavatam also, a person aspired for 1 crore. But in another way, he aspired for 1 crore years. So Prithu Maharaj is offering prayer. Na kamaye nata tadapyakam kvachin. Nayatra yushmat charanam bujasava. Mahattamantar hridayan mukacchuto. Vidatsva karna yutamesha me varaha. So Prithu Maharaj says that I do not desire liberation even in the worst of difficulties. At any point in my life, I do not desire liberation. Particularly, I do not desire Sayujya Mukti. Because in the Sayujya Mukti or Kaivalya Mukti, there is no opportunity to hear about your qualities. There is no opportunity to hear about your pastimes from your devotees. On the other hand, what I desire is that I desire millions or crores of years. So Prithu Maharaj also aspired for crore, but he aspired for crores of years to hear Krishna's pastimes. So therefore, for the rest of eternity, his name is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So for the rest of eternity, he has 1 trillion hits, or 100,000s of trillion hits, because he aspired to hear Krishna's pastimes with crores of years. On the other hand, when we aspire for 1 trillion hits or thousands of lakhs of hits, we want thousands of followers. We may get thousands of followers, but it will be like a Deepavali Kalash, which remains for few seconds. But when a person somehow tries to develop a eagerness for hearing, then without our separate endeavor, one will get, as a side effect, one will get so many followers. So that is the example of Prithu Maharaj. So therefore, we see that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in various places, this culture of hearing and chanting is emphasized in the Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. So I'll stop here. If anybody has any one question or comments, we'll take them. So we'll end here. Hare Krishna. Yes, Rao.
One of the names of Kunti was Prutha, and Arjuna was so-called Partha. So, apart from Arjuna's, why other Pandavas were not called by that name, Partha? They were also the sons of Prutha.
Yeah, other Pandavas can also be addressed by the word Partha. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is addressing Arjuna, so therefore he is addressing Arjuna by the word Partha. The other Pandavas can also be addressed by the word Partha. Because Partha means technically the son of Pritha. In Mahabharata, we will find various references. We can find references further. Hare Krishna. So we'll end here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.